cheers to 25 years, John.
Thank you.
And 27 years, Dad. That's you guys have been with me from the beginning.
I was working at a grocery store out in LaPorte. I grew up, and there was a guy that came in there to work on all our refrigeration stuff, and he was a cool guy, and he was always nice to me. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that. So not a lot of thought went into it. It was just kind of I knew I wasn't going to go to college. Just was never on my radar to do that. Look back on it now, it's kind of fun. It's like some guy came into the grocery store that I thought was cool, and so ended up being my career path. In high school, we both went to what now is Front Range. It was it Votech then? You could go half a day for HVAC, and then so he went to a different high school, Fort Collins High School, and I went to Pooter, and we met in HVAC school. So my first job in HVAC was actually for Glenn's Uncle Lee. He had a company called Temtech, and right when I got out of high school, I went to work for him for not very long. It was probably only 5-6 months maybe. I applied at Pooter Valley Air. They ended up hiring me as a shop helper, and so I was just working in the shop, mostly insulating duct work and cleaning up and just being a shop apprentice. And then I moved into the service department, and Vic was working there at the time, and so we ended up, after I was there for a year or two, we ended up working together almost every day doing installs. And Glenn and I were roommates too, so we rented a house together when we got out of high school. So he was working for Foothill Service. I was working at Pooter Valley Air with Vic, and did that for about 8 years. And then I moved to Las Vegas, and I ended up being there for about almost 3 years. Worked for another heating and air conditioning company, Southwest Air out there. And then Glenn, after he bought the business, or started whatever, we were just talking, and he asked me if I was interested in moving back and going to work for Fort Collins Heating. And I was kind of ready to leave anyway. I just had enough of Vegas. Was fun for a couple of years. Not somewhere I wanted to get married and have kids and raise a family, but so it was good timing.
We became really good friends. I mean, best friends. I would say we were best friends in high school. We lived together for.
Was the best man in your wedding?
The best man in the wedding.
When they graduated from high school, they moved in and rented a house together, right out of high school.
I remember you saying, "Don't live together if you guys want to stay friends."
Yeah, that worked out.
They proved that wrong.
Yeah.
John was very trainable and fast learner. Him and I were on installation jobs, and it got to a point where we knew each other's moves. We were working so long. And
Vic's been a huge influence in my life as kind of my second dad. I mean, we spent a lot of time together, and really had a big influence on my life. I still run across some of those systems that we put in that are still working.
Well, when I started, it was just me at first.
Yeah.
It was just me. It was a startup basically. My grandfather had, there was no business really to buy other than just the sheet metal equipment. So
he bought it from my dad. He said he wanted to start his own. I said, go talk to Grandpa, and he did. He came back and he wanted me to go in business with him. I said, no, I'll work for you, support you. And I'll never be a partner, money-wise or anything. You're the boss. I'd already been that way with my dad.
Didn't want to
do it again.
It was just me for a little while, and then pretty quickly I hired a helper, and then I hired my dad soon after that. And he and that helper that I hired were doing most of the installations, and I was trying to do the service, keep up with the service work. And then when John came along, he took over the service work and stayed in doing service for
pretty much from 96 to about 2009. Was doing all this service, and most of the last few years was mostly just commercial service, I think, for the most part. And then that's when moved into the sales department, or there was no department.
Yeah, you were the
yeah, you were.
Was it?
Well, it was me. I was doing the sales,
You just
and Dad was doing some of the sales, but I was doing a lot of the sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my wife wasn't very happy about it because I had made the most I'd ever made that year doing service at that time, and she's like, "What are you doing? Why would you go into sales? It's going to be." In the first year, I did make less, and then ever since then, it's been better.
Yeah, you had to take a step backwards at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting to mention because I think sometimes the sense of a lot of installers or service techs that have done it for years, and I think, well, when I get tired and my body gets tired, I'll just go into sales, and it's just like it's easy, right?
Sure.
And it's a different skill set, and you get used to making a certain income being a great service technician, and then go into a commission sales position. It's a little different.
Kind of got my ass kicked the first year.
Yeah. Would you go back to doing service now?
No.
No.
No, I just laugh. I said I probably would have switched into sales sooner, but I think part of the value I bring to customers now is the fact that I did do that for a lot of years, and I can speak to that and build that trust we were talking about with the customer easily because they know that I know what I'm talking about.
I think the secret to working with friends and family, and now my kids, it's like I think you have to be able to wear the boss hat sometimes, and then the friend or family hat, and it's tough. I mean, we've had uncomfortable conversations here and there. I think, like John said, it's just it's mutual respect and staying humble, and just realizing we got to get work done, and right, we got it done. And
people ask me, why didn't you go start your own business? And there was plenty of times where I thought of doing that, but Glenn's always been very generous with the company in general. He's always poured back into it. I know a lot of other business owners, heating and air conditioning business owners, that are in it more for their own personal profit, and Glenn spent a lot of years taking every bit of it and putting it back into the company, and has always treated me very fairly and made it hard to leave, honestly. I mean, the people that we have there right now and the team that we have I don't think it's ever been like it is. Just the quality of people and the energy that we have and the environment that there is to work in. It's never been like that in the 25 years I've been there. And when they write a review about our installers and how fantastic they were and amazing, and that to me is very satisfying, and to know that they got what they paid for and they're super happy about it.
A person, when they call for a service, they, in their mind before you get there, they're thinking all the worst of this somebody. If they don't know you, your first time there, they're thinking all the worst things are familiar. So the best thing to do is try to get them at ease when you walk in, and you go and do your job and equipment. And that was always my goal, to get the customer.
Get them to trust you, to build that trust. Being a technician, you want to fix stuff, you want to repair it.
Trying to save them money.
Yeah.
Get them going. Be the hero of getting it fixed, right?
And there's some satisfaction. That's one thing I miss about doing installs, being able to just the artistic piece of it when you get done with something and looking at it and knowing that you don't get that in sales at all. You get the sale and then you move on to the next one, and you have just being able to look at your work is nice to have that for sure.
It's been very good for me and my family. It's a learning experience and learning curve all the way through.
It's an honest living.
It's an honest living.
Right.
And the thing is we've already driven the honesty and integrity into our business, where a lot of companies do not. I think that is the key right there.